right. I promised you guys a video, or I guess not a video, but I promised you guys we would discuss a really important topic. And I'm just gonna let this thing roll. Like, I don't script my videos, they're not fancy. But the message is the same. It's really important. So I wanted to get this done first thing this morning because I think it's a long overdue talk. It was a popular request yesterday. I asked you guys what you wanted information and infographics on. So like I wrote down y'all's answers, and it was heartbreaking and hopeful to see people wanting this talked about, because disordered eating affects a lot of us, and I think a lot of us out there, or at least you guys know I always speak from my personal experience and my opinions, and I'm not a physician, I'm not a disordered eating or eating disorder therapist, so let's just put that disclaimer out there. But I am just like all of you, and I have suffered just like all of you have, with problems with body image and disordered eating and things like that. But there are a lot of silent sufferers out there, or people in denial that don't think that they have a problem, but they really do. Like, I had a follower yesterday reach out, and she asked me how she knew if she binged or not, and I wrote this like in the caption to this video. If you have to ask whether you had a binge or not, you know that you did. Like, you know that you had a problem. So I just wanted to get on here today, 1, to let you guys know that you're not alone. 2, there's light at the end of the tunnel. 3, how an animal-based diet or the carnivore diet helped heal my disordered eating, and why, and just chat with you guys, like, about different things. Disordered eating is not something that you should wear like a badge. I did for years. My body image issues started at the age of 8 years old. Okay, I had no portion control whatsoever. You know, I grew up on, an Indiana cattle farm where we were corn fed, we ate the good stuff, and my food addiction problems started there. I quickly gained weight. If you guys had followed me for a while, you've seen that I grew up as an overweight kid. Kids were really, really mean. It really affects your self-esteem. It affects the way that you see yourself. Even when you lose weight, at least for me, I know that I had body dysmorphia. It didn't matter how skinny I got. I still saw the fat girl in the mirror. I was never satisfied, no matter how thin I got, no matter what diet I was doing, no matter what relationship I was in. Like, it waterfalls into your entire life, every facet into your life, like, as you grow older, guys. So it's not something you want to keep continuously putting a Band-Aid on. And I noticed, like, I look like a little grandma sitting here, like, with her little coffee and her book. Anyways, ADD brain. But anyways, that's me. So I just wanted to talk about it. The reason you guys have, and there's different kinds of eating disorders and disordered eating, and again, I'm just going to talk about my story and hopefully it relates to you in some way. I know that I had food addiction, really poor relationship with carbohydrates and sugar. Know that first and foremost. I was a CrossFit athlete, as an athlete doing high intensity activity, fueling for a sport like that. Carbohydrates aren't the demon. And I'm going to tell you guys, like, certain macro groups, none of them are devils. It just all comes down to your relationship with them, how they affect your body mentally and physically. Do they cause gut issues? Do they cause you to want to emotionally eat and binge? Like, when you eat them, do you notice that you can just eat and eat and eat? At least for me, with carbohydrates, I mean, I can eat and eat. I can sit and eat a whole box of cereal and never be satisfied. I'm still hungry. Even when I was smashing over 2,000 calories a day as a CrossFit athlete and eating tons of carbohydrates, tons of food, adequate food, wasn't restricting myself, I was still hungry all the time. eating carbohydrates. And my main carbohydrates were white rice products because I have Crohn's. For those of you who are new here, I don't digest fiber well, fruits or vegetables well, and I've learned this through decades and decades of experimentation, doctors, you name it, keeping food journals, tracking food. But fiber, fruits and vegetables, I have a high lectin and oxalate sensitivity, a high gluten sensitivity. I also, even doing carnivore, notice I don't digest pork very well. I have a histamine response to that. Sugar-free products with like the sugar alcohols and things like that. So I have a lot of sensitivities. So just make sure before you criticize someone for the way that they eat, if they have special digestive needs, that you understand why and where they're coming from. I still have plenty of food I can eat, and this is why a carnivore diet worked best for me. So I'll kind of tie that in. Not only am I grateful to a meat-based diet. I say meat-based because I don't always eat strictly meat all the time, and you'll hear me say there's 50 shades of the carnivore diet. Pick and choose, what shade that you want, because we all have special needs. Anyways, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, so I'm grateful for the carnivore diet because, one, my Crohn's is in remission now. I don't have the gut issues that I had before. I can tolerate, it's healed enough, I can tolerate certain levels of like white rice and things like that, or if I want, to share a meal with someone that I don't normally eat, usually I can do that okay in specific portions. But the biggest thing that I'm grateful for is that it healed my disordered eating issues. I noticed when I got rid of the carbs, like not only physically did I feel better, my gut issues went away. I was also having reactions to, all of a sudden, I get lash extensions and I love them, and all of a sudden I was starting to get reactions to them. And my body was just so overly stressed with like the stress of trigger foods that I was eating. I can't digest things properly, probably not getting enough rest, not eating the right kinds of foods, things like that. So it manifests in different ways, guys. If you're having issues, like if you think there's a problem, listen to your intuition. There usually is. But as I ate more meat, I noticed I was satisfied. After a while transitioning into this diet, my appetite did level out, and you guys will hear me talk about this. I had an interview where I talked about my whole first year on carnivore. The link is in my bio on Instagram. I highly, highly recommend you reading that. Just click on the link, scroll down to blogs, you'll see it. My first year like interview on carnivore. If you can't find it, just send me a DM. I'll send you the link. But it'll talk about everything. And along this way, like I'm an abstainer. Let's talk about this too. So I'm an abstainer when it comes to food. That means really I'm like all or none when it comes to carbohydrates. If I have one cookie, I want the whole bag. And I literally would do this. Like when I was having a binge, it was always with carbohydrates. Binges come from restriction, not eating enough food. So a lot of you ask, well, how do I start with healing that? Well, you got to eat enough food first, which all goes back to what are you eating currently? Like tracking's helpful. So you have like you have numerical data to go off of. What are you eating currently? Where do you need to make adjustments? All right, so tracking food's super duper helpful, but you gotta eat enough food in the first place, guys. And I know it's hard mentally when you're stuck in that like fat girl or fat guy mindset and negative self-talk. You're stuck in these cycles. To choose again, and you'll hear me say this too all the time, you have the freedom and the choice to choose again, which means choose a different thought. All right, when something negative creeps in, I want you to replace it with something positive. A lot of things that also help me. Don't body check in the mirror. If you're one that like goes and looks in the mirror and you do the ab check, we've all done it. I was really bad. Stay away from the mirror. Throw the scale away. All right, especially when you're healing and you're trying to eat enough calories. Like the weight on the scale is not your goal right now. So you really need to like tuck that little, and I say it's a dirty box that sits on your floor. Like your worth is not dictated by the number that pops up on a freaking box that sits on your floor. So tuck it away. There's a time and a place. You got to heal your relationship with the scale too. All right, so don't abuse that. But guys, you got to heal from the inside first, and you'll hear me say this too. You got to diet from the inside out. You got to heal the inside before the outside, like the physiological and what is it? The physical follows the physiological. I turned that around. All right, so you got to heal all this stuff first. It all goes back to like reverse dieting and that, like, you've got to heal physically first. If you're having gut issues, don't jump into a fat loss cut. And especially if you're a chronic dieter, which I know most of us and most of you out there are, eating in a deficit, you gotta take the due diligence to work your calories up. Like, food is not the enemy. We need it to function. You know, we need self-care. Like, we have to fill our cup first before we can help anyone else fully. Oh, that's delicious. I needed a little bit there. You know, and like I said, I wrote some notes down so I don't forget, but my history started at the age of 8. Like, kids were really mean. I had bad habits. I noticed through the years and years of restriction, I mean, and I hid it well, and a lot of us hide it really, really well. It's like a monster takes over, and you'll read this in the caption that I wrote with this video too. I mean, it's like you're not even yourself. And I knew exactly what I was doing when I was having a binge. I would choose ice cream was a big one. I'd buy 2 and 3 gallons because it was easy to throw up. And guys, this is probably TMI, but these dirty details need to be talked about. I would sit in my car and eat whole bags of Reese cups. I mean, whole bags. Not only did those tear my gut up because I was sensitive to all of them, and peanuts are a huge high lectin food. So now I know that now. Little knowledge bomb for y'all. If you guys are having problem with nut butters, it's probably because it's high in lectins. But anyways, I would eat the whole bag. Let's see. I mean, anything that I denied myself. Gluten-free donuts, like with the icing, you know, we know they're delicious. I mean, I would eat all of them. I can't even fathom. I don't even know how I could smash all of that food. I mean, physically you hurt. You know what you're about to do after you eat all of it. You go straight home and you throw it all up. Guys, you don't want to be stuck in there. And every time it happens, you're like, this is the last time. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to go out and binge, or I'm not going to have a weekend bender and smash all the margaritas and all these foods that tear my gut up and wake up hungover the next day, hungover for 2 days. And you guys say, oh, this is the last time. And I'll relate like a food addiction and a carb addiction back to being an alcoholic, because we can relate to that. You don't tell an alcoholic it's okay to have one drink. For us that have food addiction problems, carb addiction problems, and this is why the carnivore diet works well, because it gets rid of all of it for you. You don't tell an alcoholic to have one drink. You don't tell us, oh, just have one cookie. And this is really hard when it comes to being social and dealing with friends and family who are food pushers. All right, and you guys have to strengthen the skill to say no, bring your own food if you have special digestive needs, or you know you're going to be tempted, or eat before you go out. You have to build that skill and that confidence and use it as a pillar of education for them. Like, just say, I really appreciate you showing me love in this way by wanting to share your food with me, but this is the way that it makes me feel, and I want to be my best for you so that I can love you the best that I can and be present. So I'm going to choose to eat this way, you know, or whatever strategy you take, or I'm going to choose to eat before, and I'm going to enjoy, you know, like one cocktail or just good conversation. It doesn't always have to go back to drinking. You guys have to stand up for yourselves, all right? Sharpen that skill of confidence. You're doing it so that you can love people better and love yourself better and heal and be healthy. There's nothing wrong with it, all right? But communicate with your people. Don't keep it inside, because the more you keep this stuff inside, it's going to blow up. It's going to blow up in your face, all right? Reach out for help. Talk to people who understand. Pick up the phone. When you're tempted to binge, call your coach if you have a coach. Go walk. You'll hear us all say, if in doubt, go walk. Clean the house. Find things to redirect your thoughts and your mindset and your activities to something positive. Color. You guys know I'm an avid colorer. It helps me not lose my shit. Pick whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Just go do it. Redirect. Nope, Pete. Careful. Real life. Don't knock my shit over. Anyways, cheat meals. I want to talk about that. No, I don't do cheat meals because they're just like an alcoholic having a drink. That's like cheating myself, and in no way am I improving myself by having a cheat meal. All right, I stick to what I eat the majority of the time. I may venture outside the boat and get salmon or something that I don't normally eat. You guys know I love my eat bars or my meat bars. Amazing. He didn't knock the phone over. Ugh, anyways, God love my cat. That's Pete, by the way. You guys got to remember to love yourself and take care of yourself first. All right. And that you're not alone. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything on here. I talked about abstainer versus a moderator. So a moderator is somebody who can have like one cookie or one brownie and be okay and be satisfied. Most of us that have food addictions or say we're having problems with satiety, which also ties back, like not knowing when you're full. This all ties back to not eating enough food in the first place. One, you're probably not getting enough sleep. That's probably a second one, and not managing enough stress. So you got to learn these things about yourself. As you gain confidence, being social's going to be a lot easier. And like I said, strengthen, your confidence, bring your own food, educate people why you eat the way that you do. When you give food pushers and people like that the power of influence over you to make decisions that don't make you a better person in any way, shape, or form you want to take this, it doesn't have to be a food. You give them the power to control you. So take your power back. All right? You're in charge of that. No one else is in charge of you and your happiness. You are. Okay, we already talked about all of that. You're going to hear me say, choose yourself again every day. You have the power to choose again. But I am thankful for the carnivore diet for helping me find a sustainable way of eating that doesn't trigger my bad habits. Because really it all goes back to that mental and emotional relationship that you have with yourself and food and other people. Like it's all interconnected. Money, love, success, all connected. All comes down to worth. All right, so you're worth it. Know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And if you guys ever need to chat about anything, like I understand I did it all. I threw up and punished myself with over exercising and all pills, all kinds of bad shit for years. So I get it, but know that you don't have to stay there. So I hope that helps you guys in any way that you need. Pete's about to jump off the thing. I love you guys and I'm always here for you. So good questions yesterday and my door is always open. Love y'all.